Okay, the magic of energy budgeting. This is where it gets really fun. So when we're unaware of our energy and how we're using it, it's hard to understand why the bear attacks us, why we get sick, why we have an accident, why we are experiencing anxiety, or depression, or resentment. These things seem really mysterious when we're not clued into how we're using our energy. When we're aware of our energy, when our eyes are open to our energy, what it feels like, how we're using it, then we can care for it and we can leverage it for good. So that's what we want. We just want to be aware. This is the theory that I'm working on. And as you can see, it's very in a very working stage. So if you look at this photo that I took from my journal, of my notes, this is how I visualize the energy budget. In the center is us, is what we choose to do in our life, is in terms of mind, body, spirit, like we went through in the beginning of the course. Okay, and circling around that are our priorities. And these can maybe be nebulous, maybe have squiggly edges. They're not all neat and tidy, but it's this is us. This is the matter of us. And that's kind of the whole me, and that corresponds to that activity that we did. The lines on the top and bottom are like, you may imagine them as like the full and empty mark on a gas gauge, or the ceiling and the floor. Okay, they're the boundaries of our energy, of our self, that we work within. You'll see there's on the left side it says buffer on each side. So your priorities and yourself, you don't really want them to extend all the way to the boundaries. You don't really want your gas gauge to get completely empty or below empty, because that will leave you feeling really sad. And you can see the sad face down there, right? So we have a buffer at the bottom. We also have a buffer at the top where we can ride within that, any of those levels and still feel good. But if we get too manic, if we get too out there, if we get too out of alignment or out of balance, then we may also not feel good on that upper limit. And some of the feelings that we might have, especially when we go real low in our energy, are, and you can see them listed here, resentment. We might have ailments. We might have a lot of crises come up. We might be in codependence with other people, having relationships and boundaries that are not clear. We may experience addiction, anxiety, depression, exhaustion. All of these things can be symptoms of being out of alignment with our energy. And I call this an energy budget because it correlates a lot to how we might budget our money and our finances. And knowing how much money we have coming in, how much money we have going out, what we need to do with it, what our priorities are, what our values are around money, what our desires and our wants, what makes us happy. And then we can, from that awareness, we can budget it only in order to get to do the things that we want to do, right? So this isn't an externally imposed set of restrictions on us. This is just about, how do I stay in a good place financially or energetically so that I can be the person that I want to be in the world? So we look at where does our energy go to? What are we spending it on? Some of the things we may look at are our beliefs, our behaviors, being in a state of low vibration, and sometimes even leaks in our energy. And I want you to pull out your your worksheets if you don't already have them out, and you'll see these questions line up there, and you can pause the video and take some notes as we're going through this. So where does your energy go? This is just your output, your priorities in life, the things that you spend your mental, physical, and emotional energy on. It's not necessarily negative or positive. Energy expenditure isn't inherently a negative thing, just like money expenditure isn't a negative thing. It's a way of doing what we want to do in the world. So we want to spend energy. We want to spend it in a way that's aligned, right? So this energy expenditure may be more or less effective or more or less efficient, depending on what your goals and your values are. Sometimes there are leaks where your energy is being wasted unconsciously. And just like this bucket, which I think is a great visualization for how we may feel like we're pouring, we're putting water into our bucket, and where is it going? We're not quite sure. So we want to just get really aware of what our energy expenditures are so that we can then make conscious decisions about how we're going to spend our energy. So I want you to write down all of the energy expenditures that you can name of yours. So these might be mental energy expenditures, physical, emotional, maybe people in your life that you serve and support. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you have a partner, maybe you have parents who you're caring for. Maybe it's other people that you serve and support. Also think about things that you worry about. Themes and stories that play through your mind real often that are easy for your mind to call up and use the mental energy on. Obligations maybe that you resent, that don't feel like they're bringing you energy, that feel like they are taking your energy, and maybe a leak. So if you need any help, and I would encourage you to look at your calendar and just take a glance through your days to jog your memory in terms of what you're spending your energy on. And this is all just for awareness. This isn't good, bad, right, wrong, no shame at all. We just want to see. Then I want you to look at, where does your energy come from? What is bringing you energy? What source input do you have? What are you bringing into your life? Are you receiving that is filling your bucket? And these things are usually high vibration. These things are usually lifting us up and helping us to inhabit a higher mental and emotional and usually physical state. So what fills you up? What recharges your batteries? What raises your vibration? What helps you connect with the expansive support that's around you? So a lot of times when we're looking at spiritual energy, this is often a source, an input for us. Even if it's something that we're spending our time on, for example, meditation, that might be a time expenditure. If I sit quietly for 10 minutes during my day, I've spent 10 minutes on that. So that is an expenditure. And when I come out of that 10 minutes, I feel more full, more resourced, more peaceful, more able to give. So that's something that is bringing me energy. So go ahead and on your worksheet, write down all of the sources that you can identify that are giving you energy. And again, you can look through your calendar and see what's in there. What's bringing you energy? And then lastly, how do you monitor this? How do you keep a handle on input and output? So what cues you to the state of your energy? What tells you that you are full or that you are empty? How do you know when you're getting low? What does it feel like when you're full? So again, on your worksheet, I want you to consider these questions and write down your answers. How do you know that you are getting low in your bucket or not? I want you to go through your calendar and actually rate each activity that's on your calendar from a scale of +10 which is something that brings you lots of energy. That's a plus 10. All the way through 0 and down to negative 10, which is something that is requiring an energy of you. And not to say these things are positive and negative in a judgment sense. That's not what we're talking about. It's just a rating of how much energy it's giving you and how much energy it's taking from you, or it's requiring of you. And then I want you to, for a whole week, go through your calendar, total up all those numbers, all the plus 7s and negative 2s, and go through and see what number you get at the end. I don't want to say that this is going to be a complete and accurate picture of your energy, but I do think it's one way to look at it and to think about it and to get curious. So I also want to compare this again to your maybe your financial budget, because that's a great way that we can relate to having a monitoring system. So you may balance your checkbook. You know, I do it once a week. Some people do it once a month. That's how you monitor what's my input, how much money am I making, what's my output, how much money am I spending, you know, what bills do I have coming up that I know I want to have resources allocated for. So that, in terms of finances, is a monitoring system. So I want us to start getting clear in terms of our energy about our monitoring system. Have fun with this.